Then they had Ron Montez as a guest choreographer. Ron's like, I need this edited. Mary's like, just have Brent do it. He's fast and he'll get it done. So I do it for Ron, and then another choreographer, and then one of the hip hop choreographers. So eventually, halfway through the season, the producers are like, who's this Brent guy from Arizona? Who is this? Like, because they were all just going outside. And so Mary put in the word, and they're like, well, let's just hire him.
When obviously part of it is you're taking a 3-minute song and cutting it down to 120, 130, 140 for a performance showcase length and for TV. But the other part of it is, I'm sure you were taking arrangements that were in one tempo and one time signature and changing it because the dancer wanted to dance something different.
Right.
Most recent example, you published a version of Shallow in Viennese waltz timing.
Just got released, yes.
Yeah, as a Viennese waltz. And maybe I'm incorrect, but the original recording is in 4/4, is it not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what was the experience like on So You Think You Can Dance? And what's the process like when you're taking these pop songs and completely changing them for the dance style?
Okay. Well, quick history. When I was in New York, I was a professional dancer. I had a span of professional dancing, and I was in Gary and Diana McDonald's studio, the World 10 Dance Champions. Very popular at the time, and I was teaching out of their studio. And all of a sudden, they're like, "Hey, man, we want to do a." They knew I was a musician. Like, we want to do this Evita piece for the World Latin Show Dance Championship, but it was before there was mixing and digital and all this easy. It was before GarageBand, all that stuff, right? But digital editing was up and coming, and I was learning how to do it. And they knew I was a drummer, so like, can you just make this Latin, make it sound Latin, add a clave, things like that? Because back then, before all this downloading was going on, you had to go down a record store down in some CD place in Manhattan into a Latino and just start listening. And you'd find her album and like, $17 for one track, because it was a really good cha-cha and you had to find it. And it had to be the tempo. So even if it wasn't the tempo, you're like, man. And so it's so hard to find good music, and for a performance, even worse. So they asked me if I would, so I manipulated it, I edited it, I did all these drum tracks. They ended up winning the United States Latin Show Dance Championship. And that kind of just opened up the opportunity of like, all music can now be manipulated pretty much over either editing, tempo change, or remixing. So I did Louis Van Amstel, I did Beata and Michael. I was fortunate that through Gary and Diana, thank you, my friends, I got connected. And one of them was Mary Murphy. And so by the time I left and decided to go full-time music out of New York, moved my little family to Arizona and started doing music full-time. And then Mary contacted me. I'd done a little bit of music for her in her studio back when she was, I think, pro-amming maybe. And so she knew me from there, and we were always good buddies, and she's a character. And that's when she got on that show. So she calls me up, and she had to choreograph the opening number for the first. And so she's like, can you edit this real quick? Cause I can't get a hold of their guys in the production studio. I'm like, yeah, send it over. And I'm like, how long? She's like, 1 minute and 32 seconds. I'm like, okay, because TV has to be specific. Everything's on the minute. So I did it, sent it to her. Yeah. Then they had Ron Montez as a guest choreographer. Ron's like, I need this edited. Mary's like, just have Brent do it. He's fast and he'll get it done. So I do it for Ron, and then another choreographer, and then one of the hip hop choreographers. So eventually, halfway through the season, the producers are like, who's this Brent guy from Arizona? Who is this? Like, because they were all just going outside. And so Mary put in the word, and they're like, well, let's just hire him, because obviously everyone's very happy, and he's very fast. And I got really quick at editing when I was in New York for Gary and Diana, and all those people, like, editing was just super easy. Remixing a lot longer, but it's so easy to edit. So That's how that all went down in that situation, because we were able to now manipulate music. And now that everything's online and digitally there, then like for instance, Shallow. So I hear music. Um, when I hear a song, if I hear a song, I go, yeah, yeah, yeah. But if I actually get the sheet music, or if I learn the song on the piano, then I'm open to do it however I want to do it. And because the songs are just it's just a repeat of chords. So I don't even really care about the melody. I like just playing that progression of chords and then making up my melody as I go, which is, I'm not a songwriter for that reason, because I have to decide. I mean, it took me long enough just to decide whether I was going to do Shallow as a waltz or a Viennese waltz, because they both sound really, really nice in their own little sort of way, waltz versus Viennese. But the progression of the chords and all that lends to me that it needs to go faster and flow more. I'm going to release, I'm just finishing Killing Me Softly, which I do a Monday night little, I don't know if you call it a podcast, but I just turn on my camera at my piano back there, and I just turn it on every Monday, and whoever wants to watch, and I just go through these songs and I start figuring out arrangements, and then I'll just tell people like what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But it's really just an opportunity to see the process of what goes on in my brain when I think about like Shallow.